Any kind of loss or death leaves an emptiness behind, when the form is no longer there.
Life has a way of whispering to us when we're least prepared, challenging us to rise above what we think we're capable of. At first, these challenges might seem random or cruel, like storms tearing through an otherwise calm existence. But what if they weren't random at all? What if life was calling you to grow into the person you were always meant to become? The test of letting go. The first of these tests often arrives when we least expect it, like an uninvited guest who refuses to leave until we've listened to its demands. It is the test of letting go. Letting go is not just about releasing what no longer serves you, it's about trusting that something greater lies beyond the space you're so afraid to leave behind. It could be the end of a relationship, the loss of a job, or even an identity you've clung to for years. Each of these moments asks the same question: are you willing to make room for the unknown? This test can feel excruciating because it goes against our very nature to cling to what feels familiar. But think of a tree in autumn shedding its leaves without resistance. The tree does not mourn the loss because it trusts in the cycles of life. It knows that spring will come again, bringing new growth. Similarly, when we let go, we are not losing. We are creating space for something new to be born. Some people spend their entire lives failing this test, holding on to grudges, fears, or outdated versions of themselves. They become trapped in a loop, unable to move forward because they refuse to release what was never meant to stay. The few who pass this test, however, discover a freedom that can't be put into words. They become like the tree, rooted yet ever-changing, open to the seasons of life. In many parts of the world, there exists a belief as ancient as it is obscure, tied to the act of letting go, the legend of the hungry ghosts. This belief, deeply rooted in Buddhist and Taoist traditions, speaks of spirits who wander the earth in endless yearning, unable to move forward because they cannot release their attachments. These ghosts, it is said, are bound by the weight of desires they clung to in life, possessions, power, or even people. To understand this legend is to see a mirror of our own struggles with letting go. The hungry ghosts are often depicted as having enormous empty stomachs and tiny constricted throats. No matter how much they consume, they are never satisfied. This haunting imagery isn't just about literal hunger. It symbolizes the human condition of grasping for more while being unable to take in what truly nourishes the soul. They are stuck, not because the world won't give to them, but because they refuse to let go of their need to control, to hold, to keep. When you consider the test of letting go, the story of the hungry ghosts offers a profound lesson. If we cling too tightly to what we think we need, whether it's a person, a situation, or even an old version of ourselves, we risk becoming like those spirits, forever seeking but never finding peace. The tighter we hold on to something, the more it controls us. Like sand slipping through clenched fingers, the harder we grasp, the faster it slips away. This belief also teaches that letting go is not a punishment or a loss, it is a liberation. In Buddhist philosophy, the act of release is considered a gateway to enlightenment. To let go is to free yourself from the chains of attachment, to move beyond the hunger that keeps you bound to the same patterns, the same pain. It is a chance to become whole again, unburdened, and open to the flow of life. Imagine a river. When a leaf falls into its current, it doesn't resist. It drifts, carried by the water to wherever it's meant to go. The leaf doesn't fear the journey or try to cling to the rock it came from. It trusts the river's path. But we, unlike the leaf, often fight the current. We cling to the rock, terrified of where the water might take us. And in doing so, we halt our own progress, damming the river of our growth. In some cultures, rituals are performed to guide spirits like the hungry ghosts toward peace. Offerings of food, incense, and prayers are made, not to feed the ghosts' endless hunger, but to encourage them to let go of their earthly cravings and ascend to a higher plane. These rituals remind us that the same applies to our own lives. Letting go is not an act of abandoning, it is an act of honoring what has been while making space for what is yet to come. Think again of the tree shedding its leaves. It does not mourn what it loses because it knows the shedding is necessary for its survival. The tree doesn't try to glue its leaves back onto its branches, no matter how beautiful they once were. It trusts the process, knowing that new growth can only come when it has let go of the old. The few who pass the test of letting go become like that tree, alive, resilient, and unafraid of change. They understand that holding on too tightly to what has prevented them from welcoming what could be. They step into the unknown not with fear, but with faith, trusting that life's seasons will bring new blessings, new opportunities, and new ways to grow. The test of self-worth. As you walk this path, another test will appear, often disguised as a feeling of emptiness or disconnection. This is the test of self-worth, and it's one of the hardest to face. Society has a way of convincing us that our value comes from external things, our achievements, possessions, or the approval of others. But what happens when those things are stripped away? This test doesn't just ask who you are, it asks who you are when there's nothing left to prove. It's the same test faced by Siddhartha Gautama, who would later become the Buddha. He abandoned his life as a prince, letting go of wealth, power, and comfort to sit beneath a Bodhi tree in search of truth. What he found was profound. That true worth comes not from what you have, but from what you are. Few people pass this test because it requires them to confront their deepest insecurities. It demands that they sit with themselves without distraction and see their own light. But for those who do, the reward is incomparable. They emerge unshakable, no longer defined by the world's shifting standards. Life has many ways of delivering these tests. Sometimes they come as heartbreak, sometimes as failure, and sometimes as an overwhelming sense that you are utterly lost. In these moments, it's easy to feel like life is punishing you. But what if it's not punishment at all? What if it's initiation? Think of a piece of coal. Under immense pressure, it doesn't break, it transforms into a diamond. The same is true for you. The tests you face are the pressure needed to reveal your brilliance, to uncover the strength and resilience that were always within you. However, true transformation doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you choose to see the test for what it is, an opportunity. When you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" That's when everything changes. There's a story often told in Zen Buddhism about a farmer whose horse runs away. His neighbors come to console him, saying, "What bad luck?" The farmer simply replies, "Maybe." A few days later, the horse returns with a group of wild horses, and the neighbors exclaim, "What good luck?" Again, the farmer says, "Maybe." The story continues, each event leading to another, each labeled as good or bad by the neighbors, while the farmer remains detached. The lesson here is simple but profound. Life's tests are neither good nor bad, they just are. How you perceive them determines whether you will pass or fail. The tests you face are universal yet deeply personal. They are the fire through which your soul is forged, the prism that refracts your light into its full spectrum. You are not here to drift aimlessly through life, avoiding the challenges that come your way. You are here to face them, to grow through them, and to emerge brighter and stronger on the other side. And so, as you take your next step forward, ask yourself, are you ready to let go? Are you ready to see your worth? Are you ready to face the tests that will shape you into the person you were always meant to be? The journey is not easy, but it was never meant to be, for it is in the struggle that you find your strength, in the challenge that you uncover your courage, and in the test that you discover who you truly are. The test of truth. The next test is the test of truth. A trial that demands more than honesty. It calls for the courage to face, speak, and live your deepest truths. This test is not about being truthful to others alone. It is about the raw, unflinching honesty with yourself that can shake the foundations of your identity. To pass it is to strip away the illusions you've built to protect yourself from the world, revealing the essence of who you truly are. The test of truth often arrives in moments when you're forced to confront the lies you've been living. Perhaps you've been pretending to be happy in a job that drains your spirit, or staying silent in a relationship that suffocates your soul. These moments of reckoning are not coincidences. They are life's way of holding up a mirror, daring you to look into it and ask, am I living in alignment with who I truly am? For those who face this test, the stakes feel impossibly high. Speaking your truth may mean disappointing others or risking rejection. It may require walking away from everything you've known. Yet to avoid it is to betray the very essence of your being. To deny your truth is to live as a shadow of yourself, an echo of what you were meant to be. This test is as ancient as the human spirit itself. In Greek mythology, the Oracle of Delphi famously bore the inscription, "Know thyself." This command wasn't just philosophical advice, it was a sacred imperative. To know yourself is to know your truth, and to know your truth is to live in harmony with your soul's purpose. Without truth, you are lost, wandering in a fog of falsehoods, unable to see the path meant for you. The courage to face this test can be found in an unexpected source, the Japanese art of kintsugi. In this practice, broken pottery is repaired with gold, the cracks becoming a visible testament to the object's history. The philosophy behind it is simple yet profound. There is beauty in authenticity, even when it reveals imperfection. Similarly, the cracks in your identity, the truths you've hidden, the masks you've worn, are not flaws to be concealed. They are the gold veins of your soul, waiting to be uncovered and celebrated. The few who pass the test of truth discover a liberation that words cannot capture. They no longer carry the burden of maintaining a facade, of being what others expect them to be. They stand tall in their authenticity, knowing that their worth does not depend on external approval. Instead, it flows from the unshakable foundation of their truth. The question it asks is simple yet profound. Are you willing to live your truth, no matter the cost? The test of patience. The next trial is the test of patience, a quiet yet relentless challenge that tests your ability to endure the waiting. Unlike other trials that demand action or courage, this test requires stillness, a deep trust in the unseen forces of life. It's about surrendering to the divine timing of the universe, even when every fiber of your being screams for immediate resolution. Patience is not merely the absence of restlessness, it's the art of holding space for growth to occur naturally. This test often arrives wrapped in the guise of delays, setbacks, or dreams that feel just out of reach. It's in the unanswered prayers, the lingering uncertainty, the moments when life seems to be saying, "Not yet." For many, this test feels unbearable because it strikes at the heart of human desire for control. We live in a world that worships speed, where instant gratification is not just expected but demanded. To wait is to swim against the current, to embrace discomfort as a companion. But within the waiting lies a profound wisdom. What is meant for you will never pass you by, but it will only arrive when the time is right. In ancient Persian mysticism, there is a tale about the gardener and the rose. The gardener plants a seed and waters it diligently day after day, yet no matter how much he tends to it, the rose will only bloom when its time has come. The gardener cannot force it open, nor can he abandon it in frustration. He must wait, trusting that his efforts are not in vain. The rose, in its perfect time, will reward him with beauty that no haste could ever produce. This is the essence of patience, not passivity, but active trust. It is the understanding that some of life's greatest blessings require a period of gestation. Just as the farmer cannot rush the harvest, we cannot hurry the unfolding of our destinies. The seed must grow underground before it ever reaches the light. Passing the test of patience means more than enduring the wait. It means finding peace within it. It asks you to let go of the need to control outcomes and to trust that even in silence, life is working in your favor. The waiting becomes a sacred time, a space where you can reflect, prepare, and align yourself with what is to come. Those who fail this test often fall into despair, giving up just before the breakthrough arrives. They lose faith, mistaking the delay for denial. But those who pass find themselves transformed. They discover the strength to trust in life's rhythms and to lean into the unknown with grace. They realize that patience is not a punishment, it is a preparation for something greater than they could have imagined. The question it poses is one that echoes in the quiet spaces of the soul. Can you trust the timing of your life, even when it feels unbearable? The test of authenticity. The test of authenticity is a mirror, reflecting the tension between who you are and who the world wants you to be. It often appears in the quiet tug of dissatisfaction, when a career feels hollow, when a relationship demands you shrink yourself, or when the roles you play no longer fit. It's the moment you realize that wearing a mask is suffocating and that freedom lies in letting it fall away. This test is difficult because authenticity requires courage. It asks you to embrace your flaws, your desires, your voice, and your vision, even if doing so means standing alone. There is no room for pretense here, no safety in hiding. To pass this test, you must be willing to risk rejection, judgment, or even loss, trusting that what remains will be truer and more fulfilling than what you've let go. In the teachings of Zen Buddhism, there's a story of a master and his student. The student, eager to learn, asked, "What is enlightenment?" The master replied, "When you are hungry, eat. When you are tired, sleep." The student was puzzled by the simplicity of the answer, but the master explained, "Most people are not themselves even in these simple acts. They eat with worry and sleep with regret. To be fully yourself is the greatest enlightenment." This story reminds us that authenticity isn't about grand gestures. It's about living truthfully in every moment. It's about showing up as your whole self, even in the smallest of actions. Yet, in a world that often rewards conformity, this can feel like a radical act. Many fail this test, choosing instead to mold themselves to fit societal norms, family expectations, or the comfort of approval. They live lives that look successful on the surface but feel hollow within. Passing this test doesn't mean you'll never feel fear or doubt. Authenticity isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. It's about choosing again and again to be real, even when it's uncomfortable or risky. It's about honoring the truth of your heart over the noise of the world. When you live as your true self, you give others permission to do the same. You become a light in the darkness, a beacon of possibility for those still searching for their own truth. The world doesn't need more perfect people. It needs more real ones. Will you be one of them? The test of inner peace. The next challenge in the journey is the test of inner peace, a trial that doesn't announce itself with external chaos, but whispers from the quiet spaces within. It is a test of stillness, asking you to find serenity amidst the noise of the world and the storms of your own mind. This test doesn't require grand acts or outward achievements. Instead, it calls you to master the art of being present, of holding steady even when life seems to pull you in every direction. The test of inner peace often begins with discomfort, the kind that emerges when we are forced to sit alone with our thoughts, stripped of distractions. In this solitude, all the suppressed emotions, doubts, and fears rise to the surface, demanding our attention. For many, the instinct is to run, to reach for a phone, a drink, a task, anything to avoid confronting the restlessness within. But to pass this test, you must resist the urge to escape. You must lean into the discomfort, allowing it to ease and transform into clarity. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna, "Peace is the highest bliss." This wisdom reveals that true fulfillment is not found in the external world, but in cultivating an unshakable calm within. Yet achieving this peace is no easy feat. The mind is like a monkey, swinging wildly from branch to branch, easily drawn into worries about the future or regrets about the past. To find peace, you must learn to tame this monkey, to anchor yourself in the present moment where life truly unfolds. The test of inner peace is particularly challenging in today's world, where busyness is celebrated and silence is rare. Many live in a constant state of agitation, their minds crowded with to-do lists, comparisons, and anxieties. They search for peace in external things, a promotion, a relationship, a vacation, only to discover that these are fleeting. True peace cannot be bought or earned. It must be cultivated from within. Those who fail this test are often consumed by the storms of life, reacting impulsively to every gust of wind. They live as leaves in the wind, tossed and turned by the opinions of others, the unpredictability of circumstances, and the chatter of their own minds. But those who pass become like the mountain, unmovable, grounded, and steadfast, no matter the weather. To pass this test, you must embrace practices that anchor you to the present. Meditation, breathwork, or even a simple walk in nature can become tools for cultivating stillness. You must also confront the fears and attachments that disrupt your peace, letting go of the need to control outcomes and trusting in the flow of life. Consider the story of the Zen master who asked his student to carry a teacup filled to the brim across a crowded marketplace. The student, nervous about spilling even a drop, focused intently on the cup and completed the task without fail. When he returned, the master asked, "Did you notice the chaos around you?" The student replied, "No, I was focused on the cup." The master smiled and said, "That is the key to peace. Focus on what matters and the noise will fade away." This parable reminds us that peace doesn't mean the absence of chaos, but the presence of focus. It is about choosing where to place your attention, allowing the distractions to fade into the background. The test of inner peace asks a profound question. Can you remain calm in the eye of the storm? Those who pass discover a power that cannot be shaken by external events. They become masters of their inner world, capable of navigating life's challenges with grace and clarity. This peace is not passive. It is an active state of being, a strength that radiates outward, influencing not just the self, but the people and spaces they encounter. As you face this test, remember that inner peace is not a destination, but a practice. It is something you cultivate daily, in small acts of mindfulness and self-awareness. Each moment of stillness, no matter how brief, brings you closer to the unshakable calm that lies at the core of your being. In passing this test, you won't just find peace, you will become peace. The Test of Rebirth. The next step on the path is the Test of Rebirth, a challenge that feels both inevitable and impossible when it arrives. This test is not about physical death, but the symbolic death of the self you have outgrown. It is a surrender to the cycles of destruction and creation that govern all life. A call to shed your old skin so that a truer version of you can emerge. Rebirth does not come gently. It is often preceded by upheaval, the kind that shakes the foundation of everything you thought you knew about yourself and your place in the world. Perhaps it's the end of a relationship, a career shift, or a sudden realization that the life you've been living no longer aligns with your soul's truth. These moments, while painful, are not punishments. They are invitations. Rebirth begins when you accept the invitation to step into the unknown. In mythology, the phoenix embodies this test. This mythical bird, when faced with its own end, bursts into flames and is reduced to ash. But from that ash, it rises anew, stronger, brighter, more magnificent than before. The phoenix does not fear the fire because it knows the truth. What seems like destruction is actually transformation. In much the same way, the Test of Rebirth asks, are you willing to let yourself burn so that you may rise? Many resist this test because it demands a level of trust that feels unbearable. The self clings to the familiar, even when it's painful, because stepping into the unknown feels like a kind of death. But resisting rebirth comes at a cost. It keeps you trapped in cycles of stagnation, living a life that no longer fits the person you are becoming. To pass this test, you must allow the old version of yourself to crumble, trusting that something greater lies beyond the ruins. This test is echoed in the spiritual concept of ego death, found in traditions like Buddhism and shamanism. Ego death is the dissolving of the false self, the identity built on fear, attachment, and separation. In its place emerges the authentic self, one that operates from love, connection, and truth. The process is not easy. It often feels like losing everything you thought made you you. But what you gain in return is freedom, a sense of wholeness that cannot be shaken by the external world. Think of a seed buried in the earth. In the darkness, it cracks open, its shell splitting apart as new life begins to emerge. From the outside, it may seem like destruction, but within, a miracle is taking place. The seed does not fight this process, it surrenders to it. And in doing so, it becomes something far greater than it ever could have imagined. This is the essence of rebirth. The test of rebirth also asks you to face your shadows, the parts of yourself you've buried deep, hoping they'll disappear. These shadows hold the pieces of you that are wounded, rejected, or unloved. To be reborn, you must confront these parts and bring them into the light. It is through this integration that you reclaim your wholeness. Just as the phoenix rises from its own ashes, you too are meant to rise, not despite your scars, but because of them. Rebirth is not a one-time event, it is a lifelong process. Each cycle brings new lessons, new growth, and new layers of self-discovery. Those who fail this test often do so because they cling to the comfort of their old selves, afraid of the fire required to transform. They remain trapped in patterns and identities that no longer serve them, unable to step into the fullness of who they are meant to be. But those who pass, they become like the phoenix, radiant and free. They are unafraid to let go, to burn, to rise. They understand that every ending is a beginning, every loss a doorway to something greater. They carry the wisdom of the cycles within them, knowing that destruction is not the opposite of creation, but its partner. Passing the test of rebirth requires courage. It demands that you trust the process, even when it feels like everything is falling apart. It asks you to see the beauty in the ashes and the potential in the void. When you embrace this test, you discover that the fire does not destroy you, it purifies you. It burns away the illusions and leaves only what is real, what is true. As you face this test, remember that rebirth is not about becoming someone new. It is about returning to who you have always been beneath the layers of conditioning and fear. It is about stepping into the light of your soul and allowing it to shine unburdened and free. In passing this test, you don't just transform, you transcend. You become the phoenix, rising again and again, each time closer to the essence of your true self. Every soul on this planet is faced with these trials. Some face them head-on and emerge transformed, while others retreat, unaware that each test holds the key to their evolution. To see these challenges for what they are, we must shift our perspective. Imagine life as a vast river. You are not just a passenger drifting along, you are the current itself, ever flowing, ever transforming. The tests are the rocks and rapids that shape your path, not to break you, but to refine your essence, much like a river smooths the rough edges of a stone. One of the most profound teachings comes from the Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna, a warrior, stands frozen in fear on the battlefield of life. He faces his greatest test, to fight or to abandon his duty. It is not just a physical battle he hesitates to face, but an internal one. Krishna, his divine guide, reveals that the battlefield is within him, and the only way forward is through self-realization and courage. This is true for all of us. Life's tests are never about the surface struggle. They are about the transformation waiting beneath. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.